So for our first session of Black Star, we are going to open up on the planet Obsidian Prime. Uh, but we really need to figure out what your characters are doing. So there are a couple of I basically put together like some people of note, some places of note. I also have a list of Newsnet lines that I can, throw at you if you're interested. But
Mm,
as far as place, pretty much the biggest places on Prime are the spaceport, essentially, which is uh, known as Shadowport Nexus, and that is a pretty big city. Um, Obviously, it has a spaceport. It is also the central hub of the criminal underworld on Obsidian Prime, which is pretty rampant. Obsidian Prime is not quite under the fist of the Galactic Imperium yet, although they do have a presence, and it's not uncommon to see Imperium troopers, particularly in the cities. But they're not super populous. They have some bases, essentially. And, you've probably seen them acting kind of along the lines of like an additional gang, as it were, but who still currently controls Obsidian Prime, although it's not any one person, are several crime families and gangs. So it is a very kind of underworld kind of place. So there's the Shadowport Nexus. There is quite a ways away from the Shadowport Nexus. There's a small settlement that isn't really named. I mean, people just call it home. But it is located basically at the base of a tall kind of like mesa. And on the top of the mesa is the Celestial Observatory. That is kind of a combination of a research station, uh, astrophysics kind of lab. Uh, and so the town kind of sprung up around the needs of the people coming there to do studies because Obsidian Prime has some pretty striking celestial phenomena that happens with some regularity um, in the heavens. Things like aurora borealis. Um, there are other events that occur that seem to be more space based, and when they occur, although they occur fairly regularly, nobody really knows why they happen, and so this research station has kind of built up around that. And they've got everything. They've got cutting edge telescopes, sensors, research labs. Um, it's pretty much a safe haven for anybody who's seeking knowledge, and the town around it is focused on supporting. So that's a potential place you can start. And then, in addition to that, the only other major kind of settlement, aside from small holdings and smaller no-name towns, kind of here and there, is a place called Haven Reach, which is kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's quite a distance from the observatory or from the Shadowport, and it is essentially like people know about it, but they don't always know where it is because the people who run it are nomadic. Uh,
okay.
think think kind of like a cold desert version of the Fremen from Dune. Um, and they stand pretty staunchly against the criminal underworld of Shadowport. In fact, there is kind of a resistance there. Not the overall resistance that you may have heard of with regards to the Imperium, although they may also kind of lean that direction, but more of just a resistance against the crime lords and the games that they play with people's lives in Shadowport Nexus and some of the other small towns.
Hmm.
So those are kind of the three major settlements that you probably will be in or around or start in.
Okay. I mean, do we know each other when we start this game? Is that
See,
the
I was thinking that maybe we could let you all kind of decide if you do, and if you do, why you do, right? Like,
right?
how would your bodyguard have met the doctor who he may or may not know is a mystic, and the pilot?
Is this a good time to mention that, though I am a doctor, I may not be a practicing doctor. I'm more of an
Yeah,
underworld doctor,
I see.
Okay.
doing bits and bobs for people who've been injured but may not necessarily want to go through the correct channels.
Sure, sure. I mean, if that's
Maybe sometimes the places I have to go, the things I have to do, require some assistance in the form of a bodyguard.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that
I
would
mean,
make sense that we might know each other in that regard then. Yeah.
and if that's the case too, it would probably make more sense for you all, for at least the two of you, to be in Shadowport Nexus, because that's
Yeah.
where all like where all
Yeah.
the criming happens.
Yeah. I mean, how do you feel? Are we trying to make a name for ourselves with these crime families then, Flea, do you think? Or are we trying to stay away from them and make our own way? What do you think?
Oof, if I was wearing a cowboy hat, I'd tip it and say, just making $1, sir.
Okay. So we're
I-
not
I'm-
allied
I-
with any
I am-
of the
I am-
crime families. You may do work for some of them, I guess, but we're kind of independent.
I am purely in this for the money, since I lost my job as a regular doctor for maybe not saving the right person.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. So perhaps we started out as it was like a business arrangement then, and we've become friends.
Sounds. I'm writing notes so I don't forget stuff.
Yeah,
Sounds good to me.
yeah. So we'll go with that's how we know each other, and we would definitely be in Shadowport then. How about Tony? Do you want to be? Do you want to be a member of our gang, or
Well, it's one of them.
or are we going to meet up during the adventure?
It depends. Like, if you've done quite a few things together, then obviously I see myself, because I'm a pilot. That's probably more how I get a lot of my money.
That includes non-space vehicles as well, so like speeders, transports, things like that. So it would make sense that if somebody needs a driver.
We're not going to get in trouble, are we, and have to kidnap her to fly us out?
No, I'm thinking that.
That's entirely on you, mate.
I can imagine that you've worked with us before, and we're not very good, and we've probably gotten you into a few scrapes because we're not very good at what we do.
Yeah, I mean it's. If you've been together a while, yeah, I would say more than likely cross paths a couple of times.
Yeah.
So that would probably indicate why on this occasion maybe you come back to me for help. Because you know me, you know, essentially I'm not gonna blab about.
You're not
anything.
gonna rat us out.
Yeah, I just do the job, get paid, you know, and that's about it really. Obviously.
Okay.
That's how I'm thinking. I'm there to try and find a job to earn a bit of cash while, there's nothing else going on.
And occasionally help out a couple of incompetents.
If the pay
doing whatever we do.
If the pay is good, it's fine.
He says a couple of incompetents. Obviously, the man has a split personality.
It makes sense for Kylia to be in Shadowport Nexus as well, because that's where all the ships are.
Yeah.
Being that this is firmly run by various criminal families, I mean, who's in complete charge at any given time is often up in the air. But it's not like a lot of more restricted planets where a lot of the smuggling takes place outside of the major ports. Like, in fact, a lot of the crime families work together to patrol the skies, and they don't take kindly to people just landing willy-nilly wherever they want. So everything comes in and goes out through Shadowport Nexus. So.
Okay.
Well, if that's where you're all going to begin, then there's a couple of things. First of all, Newsnets are common, and it's a large city. It's interesting in that it's kind of built into the sides of this kind of massive crevice, mainly to protect from the weather. And in fact, this crevice, I mean, think Grand Canyon size crevice, really.
Right.
It's massive. And so the city is kind of built into the sides, going all the way to the bottom. Part of the city is at the bottom as well. And in fact, the city has this construction at the top of the plateau where the crevice kind of initially is gouged out of. And it's this impossibly large dome that can close and seal in the city during particularly bad celestial events or the strange ice storm dust blizzards that happen. And so oftentimes Shadowport Nexus can be literally shut down and enclosed for hours until weather passes and nobody can come in or out, even in a starship, because the weather is so bad.
Right.
Ground travel is not unheard of during those kind of points because you're close to the ground and you have a little bit more control than what's going on up in the atmosphere, because the higher you go in the atmosphere, the more dangerous some of those storms become. But as far as starships go, it's not. You've all been through periods where probably the worst in recent memory for any of you has been almost an entire 24-hour period just kind of locked in the dome. But it's a big city. It's probably easily the size of any major city you can think of on Earth. Maybe larger than some. It just happens to be a weird combination of vertical and also interior, kind of going into the sides of the canyon. And there's a lot of tunnels back there too that either are being dug because the city is being expanded upon, or maybe they've been abandoned. And there's a lot of stuff going on in that city. But anyway, like I was saying, news is readily available. It is a large city, so there's kind of news kiosks and screens and things like that everywhere, where you see various Newsnets reports on the happenings of the day. As far as people that you might know that tie in with what you've described as why you're all here, a lot of the crime families are very insular, but there is one, not really a family, more of a gang, known as the Hidden Sons, and their current leader, their current crime lord, is known as Lysandra Voss, and she is well known for hiring people outside of the, let's call it the organization rather than a family, to you may have even, Mercy particularly, may have even done some work for the Hidden Sons before, even if you're not officially affiliated with them.
Yeah.
And because, like I said, that's uncommon. Not every group is quite so open. They tend to work with their own people.
Yeah, people they, right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
What was the family
trading
name again?
card there for Lysandra. Hidden Sons, the Hidden Sons.
Hidden Sons.
So, Lysandra, because yes, I've made trading cards for all the major NPCs that you need.
I like it.
That's pretty
Lysandra is her species is known as the Voidani. They're essentially Chiss, if you're familiar with Star Wars. A species known to be super intelligent, super efficient, very tactically minded. It's not a surprise to know that someone of her ilk is in charge of an entire criminal organization.
Right. Okay. And you said there's some other gangs as well that are.
There are.
She's more likely to employ a bunch of reprobates like us, though. The others.
She's
are
the
less likely
only
to.
person that you know of
Yeah.
that would even take the time to have a conversation with you, let alone hire you for something.
Gotcha.
Most of the organizations, if they're not a family, which in that case I mean family, in that you are only in it if you're a part of the family. Most of the other organizations take years to get the notice of, and then even get an invite to.
Oh wow.
Okay.
And you've seen, their insignias around town, but some of them you don't even know what their names are. You just know that they're in charge.
Yeah. So if you see their emblem or something on a wall,
Yeah.
you avoid that area.
Or, I mean, it's not like they're. So the thing is they're in control, but they're not. They're not actively aggressive towards the general populace. Like, they understand that people work, and people need to do things, and so you don't necessarily have to be terrified that you're walking onto a particular organization's turf.
Just as long as you're not conducting business there, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And as long as you realize who's in control in that area.
Sure. Okay. So in terms of the news, you say you've got some stuff on the news that might.
There are some things in the news you can look at if you take a look at that.
I think that's going to be a thing. I can't imagine that we've got much else to do right now.
Sure.
Yeah,
so we're
keeping up on news and what's going on, because we're kind of on the fringe, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd probably keeping an ear out about what's going on, just in case we need to go anywhere. Because I would be there looking for a job, so.
Right.
Got to find those opportunities.
Yeah.
There's a couple of news articles, news items, I guess I should say, that are pretty common. There's some news about rival factions clashing in the streets. One particular article that you notice, any one of you might notice, talks about how the Hidden Suns are actually gaining the upper hand in the spaceport, which is potentially a good thing, at least for the Hidden Suns. Whoever has command of the spaceport, that carries with it a pretty decent amount of power. Yeah. There's some reports of the Nomad Enclave thriving. In fact, to the point of there are some testimonials of people who have been caught outside of Shadowport or their own little holds, right? Their farms or whatever, what have you, that have been caught in really bad weather conditions, only to have these cloaked and often hooded nomads show up out of nowhere and offer them safety and sanctuary, oftentimes in locations that they weren't even aware were there. But a few of them mention a leader named Asha. So that's a person that you might be interested in looking up in the future if you're ever out in the wastes. There's an interesting article from kind of more of like what's the word I'm looking for? Like one of those newspapers you buy at the front of the store that are all like the Bat Boy and stuff like that.
Oh, they like the trash ones.
Yeah. But there's one that does an article that's very much like that, but it's about some kind of daredevil and adventurer who's shown up on Obsidian Prime from the core worlds, who's delving into the ruins out in the deserts. And to that end, you've all probably heard of the fact that, yeah, there is some indication that there was a previous civilization on Obsidian Prime. Nobody really knows much about it. That's what a lot of the researchers, especially over at the observatory, sometimes, archaeologists work in that kind of area as well. There is an article about talks among the crime lords with some representatives from the Imperium, and that's concerning a lot of people. Even though, it seems like there's been a lot of technological trade going on between the Imperium and the people, the haves, if you will, of Obsidian Prime. A lot of people are afraid of losing their autonomy to the Imperium, based on stories that you've heard coming out of the core worlds. Probably
situations of people making deals to be left alone, I suppose. That
maybe,
but yeah.
But yeah, there are some outspoken critics of that because they don't want to bend the knee, as it were.
Yeah. Do we know how the Hidden Suns figure in that? Or when would we know? Would we?
I mean, you'd have to ask. That's not something that's necessarily open. Normally when a lot of the news stories, when they talk about the crime lords or the crime syndicates, they kind of treat it as a whole.
Okay.
But Mercy particularly, and by proxy, I'm sure Wraith and Kylia as well, are aware that, yeah, they're not a monolith. There are many, many different factions. So it's difficult to say without speaking to someone inside.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll let you do that.
Yes, because I'm a people person.
And then there's also a couple of news items about a resistance leader named Vera Saris, who is continually calling for a unified stand against criminal underworld.
Ah, okay. Are they allied with the nomads then, by any chance?
Difficult to say, but you've not seen them discussed in concert with each other, so maybe not.
Okay. And that person, what was the name? Sorry, the resistance.
Vera Saris.
I'll make a guess of how.
It's a she.
Okay. Nice.
But she is very vocal, to the point of, even just reading about this article, you may be thinking to yourself, like,
she's got a death wish.
Yeah, right? Because she's vocal against the crime families, but also against the Imperium. Like, she's just squaring up against everybody.
Wow.
And so either her or whoever wrote the article. And then there's a couple of other smaller pieces about, like, there's some crackpot who thinks there's some weird celestial convergence that's going to be happening soon. That's going to be a catastrophic event. But people talk about stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
A couple of news items about a scientific expedition that was cut short, and how the, believe it or not, underground black market in Shadowport Nexus is cutting into the profits of the crime families themselves.
A black market.
A black market, yeah.
Yeah, it's a black market.
Wow.
Oh, yeah,
my
they're not
kind
gonna like
of
that.
place. Excellent.
Yeah.
And that article is interesting because it talks about remnant technologies. So you've heard whispers of this, but apparently people swear that and different people at different times swear that they have found like hyper advanced technology out in those rooms.
Oh,
Nobody's ever like shown it, but apparently it's selling, so it must be worth something.
yeah. Or somebody's just ripping somebody else off.
Could be that too.
Yeah, yeah. So what do you think then, folks? As we're kind of flicking through this on the, I don't know, the TV in whatever apartment we happen to be hanging out in. I mean, you think there's many of these artifacts left out there? I imagine they'd be worth quite a bit.
I mean, definitely.
We
If
could
you
get in
happen
touch
to
with-
find one, if you think it's true.
We could get in touch with the chap who's looking for them, offer our services.
I don't know. I mean, we'd need to find out whether these things actually exist. I mean, somebody said that they were being sold, right? So there must be somebody that's buying these things.
Yeah, and it looks like all of that is happening in that black market, the underground.
Do we know anybody that has access to that?
Do we know any?
Might ask
anyone who
around.
can Find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody wants to give me, there's a couple of different avenues you can take. I mean, you can apply some diplomacy, or apply some diplomacy, I guess, in order to find some people. It might take a few days, or somebody could use intellect potentially to, kind of do some more research and maybe see if they can find any indications of place or time.
I'm thinking there's anyone I've patched up who could help me.
Also a possibility.
I mean, it might be that these things, they're all fake anyway, right?
Could be.
But it means that somebody's making these fake artifacts. I mean, I guess there's money to be made there anyway, right?
Right.
I mean, they've certainly got to look the part, I guess. Unless they don't know what they're looking for.
And then there is that adventurer that was mentioned. There was a full picture of him in the article as well. He looks very much like an adventurer. Handlebar mustache, trench coat.
Oh, wow.
Thorn Blackwood.
Thorn Blackwood from the Core Worlds.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping that when he said he looks very, the next word was going to be gullible.
I mean, is he like famous? Is he like rich and famous? Or is
So
he...
if you look into him, famous, yes. Rich, maybe at one point. Not so much right now.
Okay, so he's had a run of bad luck.
Yeah.
Think about
mean,
bad looks.
it's not
though,
like he
they're
can...
always full of bad
But
luck.
yeah, but he's not going to have the money to pay us to kind of help him out, right? And we don't even know if he knows anything
depending
about...
upon what you charge, that's highly doubtful.
See,
Yeah.
money is easy to come through. He doesn't need both his kidneys.
I mean, the fact that you're not wrong doesn't mean that you're right either.
It doesn't mean you're right.
I'm not that unscrupulous, honest.
Yeah,
honest.
yeah. I think Mercy's probably giving Wraith a bit of a side eye when he's talking about that.
Right.
I sip my coffee, pretending that I haven't noticed.
No, I mean, somebody's making a lot of money on these artifacts. I don't think it's this Thorn Blackwood guy. He's just turned up here hoping to cash in.
Yeah,
Like a
I mean
gold
that's
rush,
that's pretty accurate. That's definitely the sense you get about him.
Yeah.
So either there must be a stock of these artifacts out there somewhere, or someone around here is making a stock of artifacts.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
what I'm thinking.
If
And
we're talking about the underground black market, you can kind of assume that. I mean, not everything's, legit.
no, I mean it would be bad. I guess selling off priceless relics to private collectors would be frowned upon, I would imagine. But
if the relics are fake and they're being sold on the black market, who are the people who buy the fakes going to turn to complain about it? Because they shouldn't be buying them in the first place.
No, that's right. So I'm thinking we could find out who's making the fakes, if they're fakes. Well, first we need to find out whether they're actually real or if they are actually fake.
Yeah.
And if they're fakes, then maybe we can acquire some ourselves and sell them on. I don't know. I'm just spitting ideas out here. But we're running low on cash. And Wraith's got a lifestyle. I don't know if he has. I don't know if he has, but
Like,
no, I'm interested now.
He's like, I haven't thought that far.
Right, because he said he would. You said you're going to speak with a posh accent.
Wraith considers himself a bit of a dilettante.
He
enjoys the finer. He enjoys the finer thing in life.
Yeah.
The coffee after dinner, the cognac, the fine cigar, maroon velvet gold trimmed smoking jacket, slippers.
Exactly, of which we can afford none of it. Yeah,
he's an expert at clicking his fingers to get to the waiter's attention.
Okay, it like that. Excellent.
Yeah, I can imagine I roll my eyes a lot.
Yes.
I've just described him as a spiv, haven't I?
You have. Well, that's cool. I kind of feel that I've taken pity on you. I mean, there's a couple of avenues that we could look at here. Then we can find out if anybody knows who's buying these artifacts. Maybe get a look at one of them, because I mean, you know stuff, right? You guys?
Yes, we know things.
Things.
Not specifically about...
not necessarily the right things, but we know things.
I know technology. I don't know about old artifacts, but...
Yeah, I don't know if either of them are skilled in xenoarchaeology.
That doesn't matter necessarily, because we're meant to be incompetent. So
we're meant to be incompetent.
Yeah, we just assume that we're really good at stuff. And
I am really good at stuff. It's not necessarily the stuff that's going to be helpful, but...
So you would think that this, unless he's a total, sham, you would think that Thorn might have some knowledge of these artifacts.
Exactly.
The way the description of him reads is he's like an Indiana Jones type almost.
Yeah.
Just maybe a little bit more flagrant. On the other hand, if you wanna find the black market, I'm not gonna let that go. Itself, you pretty much your only avenue into the criminal underworld at this point is putting a feeler out to have a meeting with Lysandra.
Yeah. My concern is that the black market is undercutting the criminal families, right? Would that not?
Some, most likely, sure.
Okay. I didn't know if we go inquiring with her about it, she might be like, "What do you want to know that for?" and then kill us.
Maybe.
The biggest.
That's a fair point. So you might have to be careful how you feel her out.
Yeah.
But the biggest, most successful criminal family in the entire port. Someone has to have a finger in there.
You know what? Everybody knows, right? The criminal families, they say that they're losing profits throughout this black market, but we all know they're taking their cut from there. They're all dealing. They're just all denying it.
Right?
Yeah.
It would make sense.
Yeah.
But then if
but
you
I
wanted
think
to
going then accusing somebody or asking them about it. I think Thorn Blackwood is our first. I think we should go in. I don't know. And maybe we can go in.
Maybe if he's looking for artifacts, maybe he has a tip about the black market anyway.
Sure,
if you wanted to go the scholarly route too, don't forget about
There's the
observatory.
research station.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yes, because if anybody's going to be researching these artifacts, it's going to be there.
If they're aware of them, yeah. If they've gotten their hands on any. Because
Do we
again,
know
it
anybody?
is called the Celestial Observatory, but they do all kinds of research there.
Yeah. He said that it's
It's more
anybody
like
that's
a university, right?
right. Okay.
Okay.
Lots of options.
Yeah. So, I mean, Wraith, you're a smart guy, right? You got to know somebody over at that research station, haven't you?
I am a doctor. It's possible.
Might. The ability.
I was trying to force him into one of those situations where he has to go, "Oh, of course,"
Yes,
so he doesn't lose face.
Like I know someone who worked there.
Yeah, sweeping the floors.
Right. Always important.
Yeah.
Honest work.
I mean, that's a possibility. I mean,
Yeah.
the other thing is, this Thorn Blackwood guy, he is going to be easy to find.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I imagine.
I mean,
words
the
loud
article
and
that you read about
bombastic
him
will be
literally
helpful.
tells you where he is most times. Like, it talks about him being at a particular cantina. That's where the interview was, and then he, during the interview, he talks about how he loves the place, and very
I've
easy
never
to
been
find.
here, but I love the place. Okay.
So
That's the easiest bit then. Is we go.
worth visiting his home from home.
Yeah, I yeah, maybe.
I
Let's
mean,
find out what he knows about these artifacts. If they're, I mean, this game just turned into Blades in the Dark, didn't it?
I mean,
I think
it's worth having a chat with him. Because it could be a quick book down the line, or it could be nothing.
Yeah. I think it's going to be easy to find him. We haven't got to travel too far to get to him. He's in
No.
town. Let's go and see if he knows anything about these artifacts, or whether he's just full of the proverbial.
Right.
So, upon looking into this Thorn Blackwood, you said that he's known for traveling and doing certain things. Like,
Yep.
would there be any specific things that stand out? I'm just thinking of trying to think of grab anything to spark a conversation, or
Oh, I mean, you've travelled, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I've travelled around, so it's like anything that would be known about him, if anything significant kind of thing.
He's a famous adventurer. There's got to be stories or whatever about
there are.
previous adventures that he's been on that we can.
Yeah. So if you access any of the computer systems or use your link, because your link is like it's more than just a comm link. Like, it's a small tablet too. It's like a smartphone. So, like,
Okay.
open it up and do searches and stuff, particularly when you're in a city.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, you find out that, first of all, the first thing that pops up, and maybe it's because of some kind of algorithm with how your search engines are designed, but the first thing you get directed to when you search about Thorn Blackwood is some kind of a store page where it's selling essentially like his dime novels that he writes about his adventures.
Uh-oh.
This guy.
It's only a couple of credits each, and you get like a short document on your link that you can read. It also includes interactive aspects to it. You get to help him make choices as you read it.
Oh, right. Okay.
He assures you that on the page anyway, that each one is 100% based in fact.
Of course.
And
a 100% based in fact choose your own adventure book.
yes.
Yeah. That works, right? That checks out.
Mercy,
Yeah.
my good man, can you lend me a few credits so I can buy some?
Oh, well, that was it. I was actually just gonna say that I checked my credit on my comic, and I've got I have like 2 credits, and that's all. And I look up and I say, you should probably read one of these, Wraith.
Takes his credit balance, looks at the book, looks at the empty coffee cup, looks back at the book.
Speculate to accumulate.
Thought that's what we were trying to do.
Yeah, but I'm talking about you actually doing it.
So there's a couple of different options for you. There's Thorn Blackwood and the Swamp Temple of Calchas.
Oh.
There is Thorn Blackwood and the Deserts of Kaldare.
Ooh. The Deserts of Kaldare. I mean, that's desert, right?
It's yes, go on then. I will purchase, because I know that you will enjoy. I will purchase the Deserts of Kaldare.
Yeah. I'm not reading it. You're reading it.
Oh, you can't read, can you, poor man?
Hey, it's not need to get personal.
I'll read it to you later.
And it's honestly more of an audiobook with some like 3D like holographic interaction to it. You can certainly, it does come with just a base like text file version of it, but you know it's designed to work with your technology.
Yeah.
It's like real words for the hardcore among us.
Yeah.
And every 5 units, essentially every 5 minutes of time, or every 5 pages that you read, there's an advertisement that pops up for another one of his books.
Oh my god!
You can pay extra to get the ad-free version.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm not shelling out for the ad-free version.
As much as I abhor violence in all its forms, I'm thinking we should just tumble the gentleman and take his wallet.
Well, so we can buy more of his books.
How heavy is this link, by the way? Is it quite weighty? Is it heavy enough to like hit someone really hard around the back of the head off? For putting adverts every 5 minutes in his books.
I mean, you can certainly find something like that, but no, these links, I mean, imagine something like the size of like a lighter, like a standard like Bic lighter cylinder, that basically opens up and projects a holographic screen, and like it's very small.
Oh, that sounds very cool though.
Sounds very fancy.
Yeah. So I can imagine then the 3 of us kind of sitting there as this adventure book thing plays out. Is it actually giving out any facts and useful information at all, or is it's basically a vanity project, right? I'm assuming.
It's largely a vanity project. It's well written, so whether or not he wrote it, I mean, that's questionable. But he did clearly, or maybe someone with very good programming ability, he appears to have, quote unquote, acted in the holographic interfaces, because that's definitely the same face that you saw in the article. But as far as facts go, I mean, it's thrilling, it's interesting. Maybe there's some little bits of potentially accurate, like archaeolographic whatever information, but but it's difficult to say, not having yourself been to the deserts of Caldera, which
Yeah.
you do note that he doesn't say what planet they're on.
Oh, I kind of figured it was the planet Caldera, but
No, there's no
that's-
indication of any planet Caldera
Ah.
in your database, and when you look for the
Oh,
desert
man.
of Caldera, you don't find anything.
The thing that worries me is when you get to the disclaimer at the front, which tells us all the facts in this film, all the facts in this book have been changed to protect the identities of the real ones.
No,
Hmm.
apparently it's 100% factual.
Yes.
Of course.
So at some point during the reading of this book, Mercy will have fallen asleep, I think, and perhaps when it kind of finishes, I wake up and I look around at the other two with these bleary eyes. So, you learn anything?
Depends.
Not really, no.
I mean, you've learned that he's apparently an expert tracker.
Yeah.
He's quite good with a pistol, a marksman, in fact.
Oh.
This is all according to him.
Or so it says.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Allegedly.
He holds multiple degrees of high education in archaeology and geology, anthropology.
Wow. Sounds almost as smart as you, Wraith.
Strange reasons. Checks the little light on his watch. Strange. My sarcasm detector's just gone off. It's like it's like I'm surprised it doesn't actually tell you somewhere in the book that he's married to a supermodel.
I mean,
owns a
who says
fleet
it doesn't?
owns a fleet of super high spec sports skimmers
Yeah.
on a private planet that he owns with a mansion on it made of solid Jovian diamond.
I mean that
used
may
to.
be the case, but this is really just detailing his adventures in the deserts of Caldera.
Okay, but I'm willing to believe that my two intelligent companions have inwardly digested everything they've just read and can now engage with this fellow and win him over.
Smooth.
I mean, because you purchased one of his books, if you have actually, if you're going to tell me that either Wraith or Kylia have actually engaged with the entire book, like didn't give up on it, didn't fall asleep, didn't go do something else, then I will give you a bonus to any diplomacy checks you make.
Yeah. All you gotta
Because
do is
he's
just flash the book
probably
and
going to
pretend
be
you're a
quite
fan.
fond, right?
It does sound like, can't be honest, it kind of sounds like one of the books where you'd start reading it and then halfway through you'd flick to the end to see who actually did it.
It's a choose your own adventure, so it doesn't matter if it's at the end.
Right.
If you go to the last page, it doesn't mean that. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting to my
found
feet.
the moment where you had to choose between page 72 and 94 particularly enjoyable.
I'm sure he'll love to hear that. Are we going?
I honestly, I could hardly sit down with the tension.
That sounds fantastic. Are we
It
going?
may have been the piles.
Yeah.
I
that
can't
sounds
say,
great.
I cannot say that I am a massive fan of the man's literature.
Well,
I don't imagine many
today,
people are.
today you might have to be. Are we going?
I'd rather stay destitute.
yeah.
I've got to be quite honest. I'd rather stay destitute than fanboy to this person.
I mean, at least we can get a drink where we're going.
True.
And that's a very good point.
Let's go.
I've got no money to buy it with, but we'll see.
I've been to this place before. The bathroom windows are particularly large and climbable.
That's good news.
Whatever you think about his book, it's clear that whoever wrote the article about him is accurate. Because before long, you do find the cantina that he frequents deep in the city, and this is like in the inner kind of away from the crevice face areas, and find yourself there. And sure enough, it takes you only a few minutes from entering the cantina that you do find him, kind of in a back corner, speaking to a few people.
How do
He
we
looks-
get rid of those people?
Yeah, he looks to be negotiating.
Oh. Well, we need to get him. We need to get closer, I guess.
Yeah, is the
But-
tables open?
No
near-
trouble to do. I mean, the place is pretty busy. You might not be able to get a table near him, but you wouldn't look odd just standing near the table.
Okay.
Maybe at like a standing alcove or bar. So a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
places
He's
have
got
like
those-
those high counters where you can stand at. Yeah.
Yeah, around pillars and things, don't they? You
Yeah,
can
yeah.
have these- yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to let the two with the smarts lead on this one.
So
Like, as far as like credits are concerned, like, are we completely destitute, or would getting drink?
no,
be...
I think you have enough to get a drink or two.
Yeah.
You probably maybe more than Wraith and Mercy, because you can actually hold down a pretty basic job if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Wraith could too, but you've said, Flea, that he doesn't, right? So like,
He chooses not
I
to.
said he's an underworld doctor dealing with the underworld.
right? Like you're
with all
you're
the-
probably nearing the end of your funds.
With all the
as it
gang
were.
warfare that's going on, there's apparently going on. Why am I not rich?
Well,
Because
because you have needs.
Well,
So
I
that what
imagine,
Mercy
yeah.
said?
Expensive needs.
You are. You
Look,
also you say you feel that your character's a bit of a dilettante, so
Mm-hmm.
I kind of figure maybe he chooses not to work sometimes.
The only-
Maybe
When the bank's
Don't you-
completely
would that be
empty,
appropriate?
I'm guessing that's when jobs come
Right.
around.
look,
Yeah.
I'm not a total fop. I do eat crab sandwiches every day.
Well, and I would imagine a lot of your funds probably go into like a posh living arrangement
Lifestyle.
that
Yes,
maybe like, oh, I need some more money to pay up, right? But yeah, I mean, I think you all, except for Mercy, because Mark, you've already said that was your last 2 credits to buy that book.
Yeah.
So unless somebody wants to buy Mercy a drink, Mercy's gonna be a little parched. But I think the other 2 of you probably have enough for another drink or maybe a coffee in this case. If you don't drink, I don't know.
Thinking more like a glass of water.
You get a strange,
No,
look, if you can call it strange, from the bartender bot.
The mercy,
You
of
sense
course.
it's judging you, but it's always tough to say with bots.
I'll buy 2 drinks. And this is gonna sound really weird, but like, can I get like a shot of like just something really quirky, but like a shot of oil or something for Dippy?
For Dippy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's like I just go up and order 2 drinks and a shot of oil like it's normal. I don't know how normal it is to get a shot of oil for your robot.
Well, you're not the only person here that has like an attendant bot. How close people are to their bots, that varies from person to person, of course. But yeah, there are maybe not oil, but like lubricant or something like that, some kind of fluid that would help their internal workings, as it were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's not uncommon, especially not with a bot at the bar itself.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's what.
Dippy and the bot have a conversation in boops and beeps that you don't understand yet. Oh, that's a good question. Does Dippy have a vocabulator that allows? Is it he or her, or is it just it? How do you think of Dippy?
Just Dippy.
Okay. Does Dippy can Dippy speak the basic language, or is it just boops and beeps?
Probably boops and the way I've got it is probably boops and beeps, but it's more like it can understand.
Oh yeah, I mean it can understand you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm still kind of because I've got the thought that I've like really helped make this and something, so I've it does communicate in the boops and beeps, but I'm still learning, trying to understand it. So I can.
There's a talent you can get that'll let you do that at some point if you want.
I can have a basic conversation, as it were, with Dippy, but most of the time it's just...
largely one-sided, although it can kind of communicate with like its little manipulators. It can point at things.
Yeah.
Maybe you get a sense for like the tilt of its head or something when you're talking to it. Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Essentially, it's just a dog.
Yeah. Just a little robotic dog.
Yeah.
That can, repair starships. That's normal. Dog.
Be smart.
All right, so yeah, you get a drink for yourself and some lubricant for Dippy, and you all sidle up to some place close to his table, and it sounds like he is trying to essentially employ the rather kind of ragged looking people at his table. Something about the Black Abyss.
Oh.
Interesting.
No, not black.
Obsidian.
Oblivion Abyss.
Oh, that somehow sounds worse. Is he looking for somebody to take him there, like a guide?
Well, maybe like protection more than guide.
Oh.
At one point, he says something about safety in numbers, and eventually they just get up and walk away.
Are they nomads?
One of them is, yes.
Right.
Which is uncommon to see in the city, actually, but not unheard of.
Okay. This is our chance, I suppose. Is anybody...
Are we let him stew for a few moments, or just dive straight in there?
I wanted to get an extra drink at the bar. So my thought is, as soon as they leave, I'm literally going to jump in their seat.
Yes.
I'm literally going to go sit down, give them a drink, and it's like, well, how do you do? Fancy seeing you here. Like.
Oh my! Hello. Do we have an appointment?
No, I'm just. I just know of you. I've heard all good things. But yeah.
Well, I certainly hope so. I've paid them enough.
I'm sure you didn't have to pay him that much to say good things about you. No, I've literally just not an hour ago. I had just finishing reading your tales of the deserts of Kanda. Is that the right one? Did I write that down right?
Calder,
that's the one. Calder. Literally just finished that novel, and I've got to say, just wow. Just wow.
So when you mention the book, he is smiling, but he's got that smile on his face like, yes, I know I'm supposed to know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm aware that I have paid someone to produce these books, and I may have even said some lines in front of a holo recorder, but I'm not really, I've never read that. I don't
perfect.
know
Yeah.
what you're talking about.
Yeah. It sounds like it could be one of my books.
That's wonderful. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Well, yeah. It's definitely something.
There's many more available.
Well, I mean, I know, there was a complete list. Oh, you have so much going for you, but, you're here now, and, if there's any adventures, It might be better to hear it from the horse's mouth, would it not?
Still listening in, I drained the last of my water and walked back to the bar for a real drink because I think I'm going to need one.
Okay.
Make
So-
it a bubble.
He looks at his link, which also, he's like, So I appreciate your interest in my novels. I must say, I do have another meeting here before too long. Happy to spend time with you. What's your name, miss? You clearly know me.
Kalia.
Kalia, yes. You'll have to excuse me in a bit. As I said, I have more people that I'm expecting to engage with here, but for the moment, I'm pleased to make your acquaintance.
Charmed. What? So, Wraith's gone back to the bar. Is Mercy joined us, or just hanging back?
No, Mercy's kind of sat back at the. He's kind of got his back to you, but you know that he's listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's not with you.
Okay.
I'm still listening. Having got a slightly stronger drink, I turn round on the bar and lean against it, looking interestedly in yours and Mr. Blackwood's direction.
Okay.
We put the pressure on you, Tony. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know that Blackwood would necessarily notice with Tony sitting in the booth across from him. He's focused on his fan. So
yeah.
It's always nice to have at least one.
Well, it's just one. I just wanted to make sure that they were close enough because with him saying he's got another appointment, essentially it would just be.
Mercy definitely heard that.
I'm because my thinking here is I'm going to jump the gun and just be nosy now.
Yeah.
They were talking openly in a cantina.
Sure.
So it's like, oh no, I understand. Everybody. I imagine so many people are just desperate for your time. But these adventures, like, you seem to go on so many, and well, I couldn't help overhearing about the Oblivion Abyss. Now that sounds like such an adventure, does it not?
Oh, well. Adventure, most possibly. I'm more interested in what I might be able to retrieve from there.
And so you
No, go ahead.
it's like, so how can it not be an adventure? You traveling. We don't know. I don't know where that is, do I? I've never heard of that before. The Oblivion Abyss.
You've not heard.
Okay.
Could maybe ask.
Have any of us
where
heard
it
of
is.
the Oblivion Abyss?
Tell you what, I'll let you make an intellect check to see if any of you have heard of it. We'll do
Okay.
that.
So that's 2d6 plus
2d6 plus your intellect.
Possibility.
Okay.
Oh dear. Okay, so how do I do 2 dice on this? I can't remember.
Just click it twice.
No,
Yeah, just click twice.
1,
Oh no.
2, and roll. I have rolled 7.
Okay. Oh,
8.
there's an 8.
This is where I ask, where do I click to roll?
Okay,
yeah,
so on the upper left hand side, you see the little D20 icon right in the middle? It says dice.
I see it.
Yeah, go
so
ahead and
that
open
opens
that
up the
up.
dice tray.
2d6.
Yeah, click 2d6
On
and
the
click
D6
roll.
dice.
There you go.
Wow.
Okay, so y'all failed.
Yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say that. You got 3, rightfully intellect. So yeah, that's still a failure. That's 7.
It's still a failure.
Still a failure. So
We don't get out much, clearly.
well, you have a choice. You can fail. You can re-roll by spending 1 resolve, or you can succeed at a cost by spending 1 resolve. Or you can fail and just ask him.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, anyway.
I mean, I'm certainly happy not knowing. It was just on the off chance that I did.
Sure. Yeah.
I
Tempted to
obviously
black
don't know
it
about the other two.
Damn it! I'm gonna pay to succeed.
At a cost.
Oh yeah, because no, he
At the
doesn't.
cost of one,
no,
at the
because
cost
he's
of
said
one
no.
resolve.
Because
Just
he's a
one
smarty
resolve.
pants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Sure, clever.
So yeah, Wraith has heard of the Oblivion Abyss. And so essentially, underneath the surface, and some people think of almost the entirety of Obsidian Prime, there's a network of underground tunnels and caverns known as the Oblivion Abyss. Some of them are even worked holdovers from probably the previous civilization that once was housed here. But it's also pretty well known that they are home to dangerous creatures, such as something known as an ice brute. There are carrion hunters that live in these caves. There's entrances and exits everywhere. It's basically like a dangerous underworld, as it were. As if the surface isn't dangerous enough with the weather. You also know that there's rumored to be a city somewhere in the abyss that people claim as a refuge for people seeking to escape the grip of the Prime families.
Ooh.
Time to use my knowledge. I saunter over to the table with my drink.
Okay.
So, chap, did I hear you mention the Obsidian Abyss? How very exciting. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Wraith Sorrentino, Dr. Wraith Sorrentino, and I hold out my hand in greeting.
He looks at Kalia and is like, is this what's going on here? Do you know each other?
Sadly, yes.
Wow.
I mean,
You all
he is
trying to run a game on me.
A game?
You toying with me.
Why would we be toying with you?
It's quite
Not at all.
strange
Not at all, old chap.
for people to approach at different times. Is there anyone else with you I should know about?
I mean, it depends.
I put my fingers in my mouth and whistle.
Is that some prearranged signal we've got? I mean, I
I don't know. You hear Wraith whistle.
yeah,
I see. In my mind, I hear it more of as a "come here, boy."
yeah.
Right.
I'll look round at him
Ah,
with this puzzled look
I'm-
on my face.
I'm snapping my fingers.
Oh wow!
Yeah. Wait, what are you doing, Wraith?
So
right
he
here.
sees
On you.
he sees Mercy turn around and looks you up and down, and he says, "Oh," and suddenly he's interested, not in.
No, he wants somebody that he thinks can handle
He
themselves.
wants a
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And he can tell, I assume, from the way that you're dressed,
Yeah.
and
The guns.
Shadowport is a place where you can, you have your guns on you, right?
Mm.
Like they're just pistols, right? Most places you can have pistols. It might be an issue if you were trying to walk around with like a blaster cannon, but
Yeah.
so yeah, he sees you and he says, "So, are the three of you looking for work then?"
Oh.
I'm gonna.
He'll need to speak to them. They do the negotiating.
I'll scooch around and like let them sit down or make space or whatever.
I'll wander over
Yeah,
then.
it's a big enough booth. You can all fit in
Yeah.
there without being too cramped.
Okay.
It's like, well, we did come here just to ask you a question or two, but a job won't go amiss. Where there's pay.
Oh, well, there's much to be made on this venture, I assure you.
Okay.
All right, so wait. You want to go to this
more.
Oblivion Abyss, right?
Yes. From what I'm told, I'm new here, you understand. From what I'm told, it can be quite dangerous.
Yeah, that's true.
I've spoken to some of the what are the desert people called here? Nomads.
Yes.
And they refuse to guide me. And that's fine. I know where I'm going. I'm looking for strength in numbers.
Do
Okay.
they refuse to take you to this place because of what it is, or because, from the sounds of what you said just before, the payment comes after?
Well, I mean, I'm quite sure they didn't explain why. They just refused.
Okay.
But Wraith knows that these tunnels are sometimes as like a sanctuary, right?
Yes, I've heard of this city. Do you think it might be one of their cities, hidden?
Well, that was my thinking. But I'm not saying that in character. But I'm wondering if Wraith would have come to that conclusion.
No. Well, whether or not he came to that conclusion, that's up to you, Flea.
Oh, right, okay.
But I wouldn't say that you know that that's the case.
I wouldn't say if I wasn't completely sure.
Yeah.
So you say because he's always completely sure. No.
It totally depends how much money there is in me saying yes.
Yeah, see that.
I do not know.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm thinking out of character is that these nomads may have refused to take him because it is something that belongs to them, like a sacred site or something. And they
out
may
of character,
not.
Yes.
Yeah, and they may not want people just wandering in there with famous archaeologists. Yeah. But then we don't have any
with someone who thinks that their artifacts belong in a museum.
Yeah, and we've got no affiliation with them, so I'm not sure. I don't know. What do you reckon, guys? Do you think we would, or do you think your characters would have some kind of sympathy for those guys, or it's not really sympathy because they're doing okay, aren't they? But they're not downtrodden or anything yet.
I think it's.
There's no. They're down. Like anybody, they just, are not on good terms with the crime lords. They tend to stay out of the cities, but they're not like oppressed or anything. Well, any more than anyone else is.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's one of them. Like, we don't generally have any dealings with them, but the fact that they don't really do bad things that we've heard of.
No, in fact, we've heard that they do good things. Really, they help people out who are lost in the desert and stuff, right? So
But it's one of them, like, we can't know for sure whether this is some sacred place or the nomads were just saying no.
We should just play dumb, and yeah.
It's one of them. I think there's been no, because what Carly's trying to get at is without actually saying it, how much you're going to pay is like, what's the deal here? But I think it's going to end up being like, if you want people, you need to pay. So I think if there's going to be payment, then it's just like meh. It's a delivery job. You protect.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
That's how I would see it. I would travel, take them there. You do the the bodyguard stuff, and Wraith's just there.
Wraith's gonna wraith.
I will patch people up when they need patching
You
up.
see, that's yes.
Well, that's the
medic. He'll be the team medic. Yes, of course.
The assumption is we might not shouldn't need a medic, but yeah.
I mean,
always best to prepare for the unexpected.
Exactly. And if you're exploring ruins and caves and that, who knows? You might fall and injure yourself, and you'll need a doctor, right? It's not just to do with the flora and fauna. Yeah. So. Okay.
I think at this point it's like whether if you feel any connection with the nomads, whether we go and disturb it, or then like if there's just genuine.
Yeah, I don't think my character has any. He doesn't have any affiliation or connection with them, so.
Yeah, I don't see mine doing it.
Yeah.
I've lived my entire life in the cities.
Right. Okay. So we're
the only thing I know about the desert is it's full of black sand and it gets everywhere.
And it's cold. Yeah.
And it's cold.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
So you're all interested? Be a great adventure.
Maybe we could wind up in one of your books or something. Yeah?
Oh, most certainly.
in the other
there
book that we
there
just
were
read,
no additional characters. It was just him.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So it's just a little matter of how much, I suppose.
Oh well, you understand. That's the thing. How much depends on what we find.
What if we find nothing?
Well, I'm sure that won't be the case.
Just out of curiosity, for this type of thing, because I'm not assuming I have my own ship.
No, you don't have your own ship.
We would have to essentially rent one, I'm guessing.
Well, you'd need some kind of transport. I don't know if you would do a starship necessarily, but you might want to have
like a speeder,
some kind of ground travel. There's speeders, there are mounts. Yeah.
Duh. No, I was thinking it was off planet, but yeah, if it's on the same planet, that's. I mean, it's still not good if we have to pay up front, but I mean, it's better than actually trying to, rent a ship. Okay.
I mean,
well, and the thing
I don't think we're going to pay anything.
I don't think any of you know how to. I don't think any of you have enough money to pay up front.
No, yeah, no. We're not paying for anything.
He doesn't know that.
Right. No, that's right. He doesn't. No. So I mean, if you say that to him, then maybe I've got a little smile on my face.
Well, that's why I wanted to check. I was like, do you have transport at least?
Oh well, no. I was hoping to hire a team that could provide transport, as well as protection, safety in numbers. You understand?
Yes, I guess. I only ask, obviously, if this expedition is to create good fortune. It's the question of the fortune or shall we say small fortune of preparing vessels for transport?
Well, again, I was hoping to procure the services of someone who had transport. I don't know that I'd be able to assist with that.
We've got transport. Yeah, we've got transport. No problem.
Mark, why
What are
don't
we
you roll an
doing?
instinct roll for me?
Okay.
The more you're talking to him.
It's 12
Oh,
total.
nice.
9 plus 3.
So, as you're engaging with him more, and being the kind of person you are, kind of like keeping your eyes moving around the room, actively perceiving threats and whatnot, you notice something pretty interesting. Also, with regard to the hollow novel that you were awake for a portion of.
Yeah.
Hollow novels certainly did have some like daring into probably your favorite parts were where there was like a gunfight and things
Yeah.
like that. And everybody in this cantina, except for maybe the droids, although with them you never know, it could just be installed, has a weapon of some kind. He doesn't have anything.
Oh, but he's a marksman, right?
I mean,
That's
that's
what we
what the
heard.
novel said.
Yeah.
He's not even carrying a pistol on his belt.
Yeah.
He doesn't appear to have anything even hidden. I mean, he is wearing, kind of a posh looking fur-lined trench coat, but you don't know that he's actually even carrying any weapons.
So, and obviously, this is an expedition that we're mounting. You have some equipment, personal belongings, right?
Oh yes. I have gear for myself. For myself, he stresses that point.
Yeah, that's
But
what I thought.
What are the rest of us supposed to do about provisions?
Well, again, I was hoping to employ a group of people who are skilled at these kinds of things, so would have their own equipment, as it were.
Employ is such a strange word to say here. So
No, you're right. Employee is a strange word. It's more of a partnership.
Yeah.
And what kind of equipment, like, you say you know where you're going. What kind of equipment is to be expected on both sides of this partnership?
Oh, well, I assume you'll want something, and he kind of motions at Mercy's large guns. You'll want something to protect yourself with. Beyond that, whatever you think might be helpful. I've been told this place is largely underground.
Okay.
I mean, what is it we're looking for exactly?
Oh, haven't you heard? There are quite a number of strange advanced technologies that are being found on this planet, even as we speak.
And you're sure that nobody else has been to this Oblivion Abyss before? Won't they have found some of these?
I've
All
been
these
told they may have found some, but certainly you've heard about how these things are flying through the underground, the black market, as it were.
Yes. Well,
The slightly blacker market.
I mean, is that
I
your
have-
intention then, to sell anything you
nothing
find?
nothing quite so crude. I have a few collectors already that are interested in anything that we might return with.
Have you not just checked out the market yourself to save yourself
Oh
this trip?
yes, I've been there. It's much better to find pieces and sell them than pay for pieces and then sell them. There's no money in that, especially
No.
not at the prices that I saw in the underground.
And these were all legitimate artifacts?
How do you know the artifacts were real?
Oh, well, that's the most interesting part. So he pulls something out of his coat. It's fits in the palm of his hand. He places it on the table in front of him, and it's some kind of polyhedral object. Could be a stone, could be metallic. It's difficult to say. And as he places it on the table, he gives it a slight nudge with his fingertip, and it starts to spin slowly in place, perfectly balanced. You're looking at it, and as it's spinning, you suddenly realize that you're all familiar with polyhedral shapes. I mean, there's many different kinds. This one you can't identify. It's difficult to say how many sides it has. At one moment, you think it might have 20, then maybe 12, then maybe 30. At another moment, it seems like it has 100 sides. It's difficult to say. And as it slowly rotates, it starts to pick up speed, and then it lifts off of the table and starts floating slowly upwards, millimeter at a time. And it also starts to glow. And at that point, he takes it in his hand and puts it back into his pocket.
What?
Have you ever seen anything like that?
That was found here?
That's what I've been told, yes.
Oh my word. That was amazing. What is it?
I have no idea.
Wait, what? You don't know what it is, but so you want to find more of the same thing?
Yes. Well,
Like-
anything.
I guess collectors don't care what the thing is.
As long as it's collectible.
Mm.
So this was found in the Oblivion Abyss. I say, pointing to his pocket that he's stashed the shining trapezehedron in.
Yes, that's what I was told when I purchased it.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Okay. When do you intend to set out?
Well, as soon as possible. The longer we wait, the less chance it is we might find something before someone else does.
We will need time to provision for this adventure.
Oh, certainly. A day? 2?
I think at this point I'm looking at Mercy.
Yeah, okay.
Because my thought right now is the biggest provision you've already promised, and I'm looking at you like, how long do we need for that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We have a vehicle.
Yeah. How about 24 hours, I reckon. I think we can, yeah. How about that?
That sounds wonderful. I mean, I'm ready to go now, but whenever you will be ready, shall we meet at the eastern gap gate?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Let's do that.
24 hours from now?
24 hours from now.
What time of day is it?
Probably early evening.
Okay. Yeah.
So he says, shall we would you like to discuss cut now, or is that something that you people do later?
No, I mean, I figure we should get all of that out of the way before
So I
any
was thinking,
formal contract between us.
certainly, I was thinking as I have the information as to where we're going, then I would of course have a larger cut. So perhaps 60% from myself and 40% that you all split between you.
Alright, maths.
You have the directions, but we have the means to get there.
You want me to
And
drive you
40%
out?
between three of us, I don't know. That just doesn't sit too well with me. What do you guys think?
I think we should reverse it. 60 for us, 40 for him. That way he still gets twice as much as we do each.
I mean, that does sound fair. Mr. Blackwood?
Very well, we'll split it down the middle. 50% for me and 50% for the three of you.
I mean,
So
I'm figuring
close.
that Mercy is probably no good at this kind of thing. I don't know. Hey, are you guys any good at the diplomacy or anything?
I know somebody has a little bit.
I have two. I will try and convince him that
Yeah.
60-40 is the way to go, because that way
Okay,
he still comes off with twice the profit that we do.
you're still going to have a penalty die on this. So you're going to roll 3d6 and take the two
And
lowest.
Take the two lowest. Well, this is going to be terrible. Ooh.
6 total then, is it?
6
Yeah.
total.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's like, I'm quite firm on 50-50.
Okay.
That's as low as I can go.
Yeah, Kaylee's gonna give it a go, but it's more.
Okay.
But I'm just not going well right to it. It's more like, okay, how about 50-50 and the shiny cube out your pocket.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Ooh.
But she's like literally full sat up straight up the table, looking over down at his pocket like the shiny cube.
Yeah.
Like a magpie seeing something shiny, like, yes.
Sparklers.
Go ahead and make a diplomacy roll.
So that's 3 dice, take the lowest.
Lowest
No,
two.
for you it's just no. There's no penalty
okay.
for
Oh,
you.
okay.
But you still have to do 2d6 plus your diplomacy.
Oh no, how do you get 2d6 and then diplomacy plus 2.
Ooh.
11.
11. He says, this bauble is how I gain interest from collectors. But given that we find more like it, or more technology, something that I can use to entice further buyers, I agree. I will give you this bauble as well.
I mean, I'm not gonna say anything.
Who decides what's interesting?
Well, it shall have to be something that has some kind of property that can be displayed as easily as the bauble that I just showed you. You understand? I have to show something to entice people.
Okay.
And if it will help you to feel better about it, I will let you have it for now, because I assume we are going to find more wonderful pieces. But if, in the worst case scenario, we find nothing, you must return it to me.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's the deal.
Did Mercy say that out loud?
No.
Like that? Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No, perhaps not. Perhaps. I mean, he's not stupid. He's not a
Right. Right.
Yeah.
In his
I mean,
head, he's like, "Oh yeah, sure, she's
Yeah.
gonna give it back for sure."
Yeah. Well, he's probably thinking. I mean, who knows? We may find something, and then something might happen to you on the way back.
Oh wow.
That
No.
kind but
Well, you're.
I mean,
I can think of one person in the party who might have a problem with that, but we'll see.
yeah.
Because somebody has to worry about conflict. Not all of you,
Oh,
but at least
I
one
see.
person does.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it depends
Yeah.
how conflict is, because I was
That
literally,
means-
if he wasn't going to agree with it, it was literally, it's like, well, I know which pocket it's in, so, you know, it's going to go
I mean,
somewhere.
to be fair, Flea's
Also, we
Flea's
need
issues with
really-
conflict have no, like, what you two do have no bearing on his issues with conflict.
Right.
Like,
Okay.
it's just if he
yeah.
gets
Right,
involved.
like-
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's a good point. So, do we know about the thing, Fleet, or have you kept that
That's up to Flea.
from us? Yeah.
Considering in the past we've been through some hairy situations, I think you would know.
Yeah. Or at
Because
least
it only
they've-
works out if the two of us have been.
They've seen you
if the
heal
three of us have been
without
working
your med
together.
pack.
Ah.
Oh,
okay.
that no. No, I'm keeping that a secret.
They've
Okay.
never been
They've-
shielded by you.
Yeah, maybe not that they would know exactly what was happening.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I
I-
mean,
I-
it could be.
it's-
I just
I
thought I
kinda
got
like-
lucky
I
or
try and-
something, and
I try and keep it in the background rather than be like, ha ha, sparkles.
yeah, because I
Okay.
guess outward displays of this kind of thing
Ah,
as well
sparkles.
would attract attention, wouldn't it? And
Yeah.
we probably don't want that.
Yeah, I feel like shield could probably be done in such a way that people won't necessarily notice.
Yeah. So are we going to
So,
go with
yeah.
we don't know then?
You
Yeah,
don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
I've kept my slightly blackmailable situation
Yeah.
to myself.
I
Yes.
assume then because I wasn't even thinking about this earlier, but if you're like doctoring criminals, I'm assuming that you have an understanding with the crime families. Like, I don't want to know how you got injured. I don't want to know what happened. I'm just
Yes.
treating you, and you're paying me.
I am just a doctor for hire.
Yeah. Okay.
Which
That's
has got
fair.
nothing to do with the fact that I have actually been kicked out of medicine and lost my licenses.
We don't need to know that.
Yeah. Oddly enough, the people that you've worked on have never asked to see your license.
Right.
So,
Good
Did you
I have
hang
to
on?
be quite
Did you get
honest,
kicked out?
A lot of the people I've worked on have never asked for anything again.
oh, bad dog.
Oh, that's not good.
No.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I'm assuming he must be fairly competent. Otherwise, they
Yeah,
would
I
keep
hope you're
coming to
better
you.
than that.
I am better. Yes, I have an understanding with them. I don't ask questions, neither do they.
So
I go in there.
I'm
I
also
treat,
wondering
I leave.
though, like if you've lost your license, I wonder if it's because another professional caught you essentially faith healing and called you out for it.
Ooh, I hadn't actually
And that's
thought of
maybe
that.
also how someone, because I mean, if you look at your sheet, I know you didn't end up taking flow.
But
But
it's there as
You
something
actually
I
can use an ability. You can use powers you don't know once per session. So like you could potentially have used flow on someone to heal them, and it would have clearly not been medical science, right?
Mm.
And like if if
I-
another professional saw you do
Ooh.
that, they could have been like, "Hey,
I quite like that because it adds someone who could pop up sometime in the future.
Yep.
Yes, I will go with that. I will go with that. Thank you, Brian.
Nice.
I have a nemesis.
well,
Yeah,
you have
they
somebody who
come-
knows what you are." I don't know that
Ooh.
they're necessarily a nemesis,
No.
but they might point someone in your direction if they're under duress or if they're paid.
Ooh.
All right. So we have a plan. We're going to meet with Thorn Blackwood at the East Gap Gate.
Yep.
Say
24
that,
hours.
3 times fast in 24 hours.
in 24 hours in Mercy's vehicle.
I won't be driving it.
Yeah.
We're also going to need other things such as food, shelter, maybe climbing gear.
Hey, look.
Eh.
I didn't promise that. I just promised the vehicle, right?
Right.
Well, we've got plenty of time to get stuff. I mean, we're in a big city. But yeah, I would have shook if the other two had nothing to say about the deal. Then I would have shook his hand.
Okay.
Sounds good to
and,
me.
and held my hand out for the cube.
Yeah, he hands it to you.
I hand it to Dippy.
Oh, okay.
Dippy
So-
got a little compartment.
Yeah, Dippy takes it with
Stash
one
it.
of his manipulators, and a little compartment opens up just underneath his head, and he places it in there.
Yeah.
He's assuming that's what you want him to do with it.
Yeah.
On command, yeah.
Got it in my head now that when Dippy walks, he rattles slightly.
To be fair, he probably did that already.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
So,
yeah.
finish the
what now?
drinks
24
and
hours.
stand up. I think.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
shall
I think
thank him politely and offer him my hand again.
Yeah, he shakes your hand.
Excellent.
24 hours at the East.
We
Yeah,
shall see
yeah.
you at the East Gap Gate.
Okay. Having shaken Kalia's hand and Wraith's hand, he kind of looks at Mercy, hand out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just say, yeah, we'll see you at the East Gap Gate in 24 hours.
Okay.
Just Mercy's there. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
See ya. All right. So yeah, he actually looks like he's preparing to leave as well. He pulls out his link and hits a couple of things, maybe canceling other appointments that he's had.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, you are then. So,
First come,
Sweet.
first serve. Well,
damn,
first
that's
accept,
how
first
it
serve.
works.
Yeah.
Right, we gotta.
I mean, at least we found out about the artifacts, I guess. Somehow, kinda.
Yeah.
That's what we wanted.
So, is it real?
How do we know?
So
I-
why don't you make either Wraith could do an intellect check, I guess. Tony, you could probably do like a tools check to kind of like scan it, look at it with a
Yeah.
bonus die from Dippy.
Okay.
Intellect check.
So tools.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a 12.
What do I get? 7.
Plus
Which
3.
is 10.
Plus your intellect,
Yeah.
10. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh yeah, it's 9, isn't it? Ugh,
So Wraith hasn't seen anything like that. The fact that you couldn't pin down how many sides the object had, I mean, things being faceted, there's nothing fascinating, as it were, about that. It's common for that kind of thing to happen naturally, quartz crystals, things like that. But the fact that the longer you looked at it, the less sure you were about its form is troubling. And so you definitely feel like you can say with some certainty that it's not normal. With tools, by looking at it in more detail, scanning it with Dippy's help, what it was doing, it shouldn't be able to do. Anti-gravity is a thing. There's no question about that. I mean, you guys have speeders, you have starships that have inertial dampeners. That kind of technology exists. That's not crazy. What was crazy about it to Kalia is that technology takes space, right?
Okay.
Like in order to have a grav bike, as it were, right? Defy gravity. That technology takes up space on that grav bike, like essentially like an engine or whatever you want to call it. Like it doesn't fit in something that size. And so the fact that it was doing so, it looks like a completely solid mass to you. There's no indication of a power source. There's no indication of any circuitry. There's no indication of any kind of technology. It looks like a rock. So it shouldn't be able to do that. I will even go one step further for Wraith, because I keep forgetting. You're going to have to remind me sometimes, because you are playing it kind of like a doctor, but you're a mystic. So with sense, you can sense resonance. The force, as it were, right? This doesn't... So you would have felt if it was some kind of like resonance artifact, which you know exists. Most people probably don't. But there are things that are infused with resonance that can have similar, advanced technology to the point of being magic kind of feeling to them. This is not that. Probably not something you're going to tell your partners because they don't know that you're a mystic, but just so you... but yeah, definitely not something that, as far as Kalia can tell, nothing normal about that. Advanced technology would be the easiest way for you to explain it. How far advanced? Difficult to say, but advanced.
And though we recreate the effect with it.
Somebody wants to try.
What do you mean? Can we activate it like he
Yes.
did? Or okay.
Oh.
I mean, probably not here, right? We would go somewhere else and do that, would we?
And it's an anti-gravity super like ancient relic from a bygone era, maybe, or a parlor trick.
Yes.
I mean, it's a very powerful parlor trick. Because it doesn't seem to
like I said, your tools... I'm just telling you what you know as far as being, a technician and working with these kinds of things, and with what your scanners can tell. Like I said, as far as your inspection and Dippy scanners can tell, it's a rock.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll put it away for now and just say, we can maybe try it out when we get behind closed doors or something.
Sure.
So we don't lose it if it is something,
Yeah. Okay.
Because I think right now the most important thing is I've turned fully straight on to Mercy's like looking for a vehicle.
Yeah, we need to find a vehicle. I mean, to be honest, I didn't think he was going to go for it.
Wait, I can see it. You haven't got one.
I mean, we've essentially agreed to work for free at this point. Of course, he was going to go for it.
Yeah. All we've got at the moment is that artifact, or whatever that may be worth.
I mean,
we could sell the artifact to purchase some of the things we need, but what if we find nothing else and he wants the artifact back?
I mean, I was looking at the guy. Were you worried about that? I wasn't worried about that.
It's Dippy's now. I've given it back to Dippy.
Okay.
I can imagine it. Dippy looks over at the rest of the party just for a moment, dollar signs flashing its eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, what we'll do is tomorrow morning, we'll all wake up in the morning. The artifact will be gone, but Dippy will be gold plated.
Like,
Okay.
no,
Yeah.
you put the idea of gold-plated Dippy in her head now.
Oh no, that's way too gaudy.
Exactly right. That's going to attract attention.
Tungsten,
Right.
pale bluey grey. That'd
Yeah.
be quite nice. Very fashionable. Go faster stripes.
Okay.
It's a
Right,
vehicle.
back to the issue at hand. Expedition,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere we don't know, for an unspecified amount of time, with unknown danger, and all we've got is what we're standing up in.
Why you got to be so negative all the time?
I don't want to die.
I'm sure you won't.
Yeah, you know I won't let that happen.
Okay,
Also,
so
also, somewhere comfortable to sleep while we're down there would be nice.
I mean, you can sleep on the truck.
I don't know
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
vehicle you're going to get is going to go
What?
underground.
Oh, I'm not even thinking that. I'm just
No,
thinking he can
we need a
literally,
vehicle to-
he can walk his way back to the truck if he wants some over his head.
Oh, gotcha.
That's the kind of
So-
attitude that Kaylee's taking with him.
Right?
Wow.
I understand.
Feels so loved.
So you do still have, each of you still have your 2 free gear picks, right? So don't forget about that. But if you want to, because again, this isn't like a focus on gear kind of game. If you want to either pay for, and this I might make somebody make a diplomacy roll to see how well we can do, or abscond with some additional equipment, quotation marks, then I think probably what I'll do is, depending upon your role, set an amount of additional free equipment picks, right? So that you've got like a pool of like, you've got 10 units of equipment. You're at a situation, we need some rope. Okay, that's a unit of equipment. You get what I'm saying?
I like that. Yeah, that's
Okay,
cool.
yeah.
I like that. Is a good idea.
Yeah.
If the worst comes to the worst, we can always sell Mr. Blackwood's fancy coat.
Might argue with you about that.
I mean, I think
Yeah.
he'll have something to say when we meet him without a vehicle and then steal his coat.
And the rock.
Well, I have to be quite honest, I thought that's what we were going to do anyway.
Um.
No, I'm actually intrigued.
But yeah,
if there's not
so-
gonna be any artifacts.
How are we going to get a vehicle? How are we going to get equipment?
Mercy, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, I'm just thinking we must. We've been in the city a while.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if Mercy would know what kind of vehicle we would need for an expedition such as this, or whether it's just a basic.
I mean, it wouldn't be hard to figure out.
Yeah.
You know, something that
We
you know
don't
you
need- like a
probably
truck,
want a
right?
speeder, right?
Yeah.
And something with cargo capacity.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Like it's gonna sound weird, but like a camper speeder.
Yes. Okay.
Oh my
yeah.
god,
Oh
a
my God,
Ute
yeah.
speeder.
Um.
A
so-
Ute speeder. Ooh, ooh.
Perfect. Yeah. Now I'm assuming then that we might know that there might be like haulage companies or something about
Sure.
that might have a vehicle like that. They must have some kind of depot or something where we could
Okay.
and I mean I don't know how you guys would want to play it, but obviously I'm afraid
I have what
Kylie is
may
going to
be
get involved in this. She may not.
terrible suggestion.
Okay.
If the obsidian abyss is as full of these relics as Dr. Blackwood seems to think it is, don't you think there are certain individuals who may take an interest in this expedition, such as, oh, I don't know, some called Lysandra Voss, maybe?
Well, you think we should go and approach
And
her
if-
and ask her to
if
give us?
If so, would she be willing to provide the vehicles? Maybe a few extra hands
Well,
to help out.
I thought we were trying to make some money.
She may pay us.
We're already at 50% between the three of us.
Could be 100% between all of us.
I mean, I would think that maybe Kylie might have a contact or something to be able to get a transport. Just she would literally be holding out because Mercy said we had one. Just to see what he said.
He'd say it was a terrible idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so Mercy will be basically saying, look, there's this haulage firm. They got trucks. They keep them in the depot in the yard there. All we got to do, bust in. Kylie, you get behind the wheel and we hightail it out of there. Easy.
And what happens when we come back?
What do you mean?
Well,
that's tomorrow's problem.
Yeah, I don't think they would have forgotten by tomorrow.
It could have been a lot worse. They said, what happens when we come back? I imagine him to turn around and say, but we're not coming back.
When we come back. Well, we just shoot everyone. No. Look.
Probably going to turn around and say, like, hey, look what we found.
Like, I mean, I could probably see if I can find somebody that can loan us up front some sort of transport, but I actually kind of, as much as I hate to say it, I might agree with Wraith a little bit on some level. If we can get a...
And I laugh, thinking you must be joking, but then
stop
laughing when I realise you're not.
If you could convince us that not only can we get in there without problems, but we can take the truck and drive it away without any problems, and when we arrive back, somehow we can get a finder's fee for returning it, maybe I'll consider it.
Look, we live in a city that's controlled by crime lords. Mm-hmm. Trucks go missing all the time.
Nervous look around when he openly admits that we're in a city run by crime lords. Just in case a police officer on the take notices him.
Yeah, there are no police in Nexus.
What are you worried about?
Okay, just in case a criminal enforcer who's on the take.
There are family enforcers, and there are Imperium troopers.
Ooh.
And not quite as many as that.
Neither of which you want to get on the wrong side of.
There's a difference between the two.
Well,
I think
fair enough.
I think there definitely is for you, to be fair.
Actually, no. I imagine that the criminal family enforcers are way better shots.
Oh, don't go making that assumption. You're gonna feel bad when I start rolling dice and my luck kicks in and the troopers hit every shot. Although, to be fair, I don't roll dice, you do, so it's really going to be on you.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, with the way my dice are rolling at the moment, that's fine. Nothing's going to hit anything.
No, it's the reverse, actually, Flea. Like, you have to succeed at defending yourself.
I'm dead. Oh, I'm going to run out of will and resolve so quickly.
Yeah, see, my thinking right now is to see if I can talk somebody into giving us something, or we just get a backup job from Lysandra that includes a vehicle.
If you want to make a call, you can try and throw some diplomacy out there, and I will, as you are a transport and tools specialist, you're a pilot tech, I will let you, describe contact that you have and try and contact them and try and get access to a truck for a period of time.
Yeah, because my whole idea is that Kylie essentially is a delivery person. It's just whether that delivery is people or delivery / taxi person, I would say.
You're not just straight up right into criming like Mercy is.
No, it's if somebody asks me to take something somewhere, I will take it. I will not willingly go and take it, literally take it from somebody else.
What we're saying is it's more of a hobby.
It's more of
sure.
I do not ask what it is. Yeah. I do not need to know as long as the money's good.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, yeah, throw me a diplomacy check. See if you can get in contact with somebody.
Mighty capitalism.
Diplomacy. Okay, so that's.
I'm umming and ahhing because if I can use this list of abilities once per adventure, I've got influence right there.
You do.
Ooh, look at that.
Oof, that's a nice roll.
Yes,
It's what, 12?
12, yeah.
Total?
Yeah.
With a 6, so that's kind of beneficial. All right, so yeah, you find a contact. Do you want to name them, or you want me to?
You better off naming him because
Fair enough.
it's
The reason why I have a list of random names.
it's one of them. Trying to think
Make
of a
a
name that fits in.
a
fits in with it.
spacey sounding name.
Yeah.
So you call one of your associates Vesper that you've done some delivery work for in the past. You have a sneaking suspicion that Vesper is a member of one of the houses.
Yeah.
But they have never really like involved you in that aspect of it. Every delivery you've done for them has seemed, at least to you, on the up and up.
Yeah.
And you know that occasionally they've had you drive cargo vehicles for them. So yeah, you give a call, lay out your spiel, and yeah, they say they can loan you a truck for a week.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
It's a good deal.
But you're liable if anything happens to it.
Okay. I think we'd go over the brief iteration of that. Of if there's any damages, it's a full truck or just repairs or that kind of thing.
If you can bring it back to me in working order, I don't care about a few scuffs and dings. That kind of stuff happens. It's not going to look pretty when I give it to you anyway. But
okay.
If it's destroyed or lost, you owe me.
Ooh.
Okay.
If you can repair it and get it back to me and it functions, then we're good.
Okay. It's a fair deal for a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you hang up, I'll just be like, "Yeah, we can go with your plan."
It's like, yeah. Thanks, Mercy.
I was kind of looking forward to the assault on the depot.
I know, right?
It's fine.
Well, I can't knowingly let you do that because that's genuinely part of like how I get paid. So it's like that's part of my livelihood. So it's like I don't want a bad rep.
Yeah.
Hang on for a minute. That's the company I work for.
I mean, this is the thing. I kind of figure that we've got you into scrapes like that before.
Probably.
Because yeah.
It's like
That's why you're probably a bit reluctant.
But on this instance, like, yeah, it's a depot. That can earn me money, but also, like, we actually don't know which one of these is connected to these multitude of factions of crime bosses.
Yeah.
It's like, so if that goes wrong, I could be out of work. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, one of those guys, we could all be out of work. Permanently.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so
yeah.
we
all right.
Mercy will just shrug.
So, vehicles taken care of. What about gear? Tony can't help with this because she was focused on getting the vehicle.
Yeah.
I love Mercy's mindset. All right, the place.
It might be time to see if I can use influence to get us some more gear.
I'll be back in my
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. And how would you do that, Flea?
Oh, good grief! Where can we? There's got to be an outfitter somewhere in this port for survival gear.
Does there?
People, I'm just thinking like people leave here.
No, you're right. There is.
Yeah. People leave here to cross the desert all the time. There
Sure.
must be some form of supplier that deals with that.
And there is essentially a market district where there are, shops. I mean, there's no. I don't know why you never see it in like Star Wars type sci-fi where there's like big box stores, but there's not. There's
I'm just thinking
individual people who are.
I can only use influence once.
This session.
Yeah. Oh, session. Right. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of change all the adventure into session because I never
Oh,
know how
no.
long an adventure is going to
Right.
last, and I don't
Yeah.
even know how to delineate an adventure. So
That's cool.
Right. Are there any of these stores that I would know of which would have most of what we need? I'm thinking food we can pick up fairly easily.
sure.
At least one of the bugs or beasts we meet out there has got to be edible.
Well, I mean, so here's the thing: if you want to spend the rest of the evening and go to like the business district essentially and hunt around and try and find somebody that's going to be amenable and get the equipment that you need, you can do that.
That is what I
But
am
it's going to
planning.
take you pretty much the rest of the evening.
Ooh.
And then you'll have to, go back to your posh pad and get some sleep.
The posh capsule.
Yeah. So,
But if it gets us everything
Question
we
is, what's
need-
Mercy doing?
I'm listening to. I imagine Wraith is kind of explaining there's these places here we can go get this stuff from wherever.
Yeah.
Mercy's probably already assuming we're going to hold the place up. So, I mean, he's kind of just nodding. Yeah, sure, like with a very serious expression on his face. Sure, yeah, okay. So, what are you going to do? You're going to go and distract him, and Kylie and I will just swipe the stuff. Is that?
Wait, what?
Well, Kylie is out. She's going to get the truck.
She's going to get the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm tempted to send Mercy into one of the stores on his own just to see what happens. While I go out there and I dazzle another one with my charm.
Okay, so are you intentionally trying to lose Mercy and go take care of it and have him go into a store on his own?
Thinking it might
Is that what you're doing?
I'm thinking it might be safer.
Okay.
For who?
So let's do your roll real quick. We're gonna need. Are you gonna just straight up influence them right out the gate, or are you gonna use just diplomacy?
I'll try just diplomacy
Try and
first.
cut a deal. Okay.
I will try and cut a deal. Be lucky.
Ooh.
That's lucky enough.
Yeah.
not too shabby, that.
So what's your diplomacy total?
2, so I
then?
get 10 altogether.
Yeah. So yeah, you get you haggle for a bit. You use what little funds maybe you have left.
I'm not quite prepared to beg.
Right. But you do manage to walk away with I mean, maybe not personally walking away with, but set up for pickup maybe in the morning, 10 units of gear.
Excellent. Thank you very much. It's nice the fact that I've walked away with 10 units of gear. Mercy's probably going to walk away with 5 to life.
So
I like that.
does Mercy go into a place on his
I
own?
mean, well, this is the thing. I mean, is Wraith saying you go in there and get some stuff?
Right.
Is that?
I assume that's what he said.
Is that what you're doing?
I am leaving that with you, Mercy.
Well, no. What did you tell him?
Yeah. Did you tell him? Because I mean, he's just going to hang around outside the shop otherwise, because he's not really into shopping.
I said it, though. Therefore, I have to say, to be consistent, I have to say that I said it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm thinking that maybe Mercy will understand that I wasn't being completely serious.
Oh, I don't know.
You're going to make me make a diplomacy
It's up to
roll, aren't
Mark.
Hmm. I mean, he's
So-
not stupid. He's got an. He's
not
I mean,
stupid.
he's
The-
an
the
average
shop-
intellect.
You do notice, though, that the shop that he directs you to, whether intentionally or just by happenstance, happens to be run by a nomad.
Oh. Hmm. And what does it sell?
still suits, rope, traveling equipment,
Oh, okay.
like traveling in harsh environments.
Okay. Okay. I guess I'm going to wander into the shop then.
So yeah, if you wander in, the owner, who is wearing, what is traditional nomad gear, it's kind of like dark but also grayish, something that would blend in very easily with the black sands and the frost of the deserts.
Yeah.
Um, almost no color at all, except for their eyes above their scarf that is still covering their face. And those eyes are kind of dully glowing,
Oh.
which you've seen in the past.
Yeah.
You've engaged with nomads before. And yeah, they ask you, how can I help you? Are you traveling soon? And the way that they say the word travel feels like it means so much more than just
Yeah.
traveling.
Yeah. Yeah, I am. We're mounting an expedition into the desert, and we're gonna need some gear. And I look at him earnestly, and I'm gonna need to establish a line of credit, if you get my meaning.
He looks at you and kind of shifts the front of his caftan, his cloak, to the side,
Yeah.
and you can see both on the same hip a very wicked looking, like jagged Chris knife,
Oh, okay.
bulky pistol. And he says, I'm more than happy to extend a line of credit to people that will pay.
Well, that's the problem. Is that I don't have the money right now, hence the line of credit that is required.
Where might you be traveling? How much credit do you need?
Well, we're going to be gone a few days. And I'm just pointing out a few of these items that are on there. I'm going to need some of these, some of these, some of these.
And as you're pointing things out, he's looking along with you and he says, no, you don't want that. You want these.
Huh?
No, that's no good. You want this instead.
Okay. So, how about that credit then?
And when shall I expect you to pay off the credit?
Now, this is the problem, because I'm not entirely sure how long we're going to be out there.
Is that so? And he looks at the items that you're indicating. He says, going underground, are we?
Potential. There's potential.
He holds up a finger and tells you to wait one moment.
Uh-oh.
And he steps through like a beaded curtain into a back room.
Okay.
Are you going to wait?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after a minute or two, he comes back out. Because he left you like on your own in the store. You could have walked out with anything. But he comes back out and you see a bit of a smile in his eyes when he comes back to the front and sees that you're still there.
Okay.
And he says, I will expect payment upon your return to the city, or shortly thereafter, if you must.
I'm suspicious.
Acquire.
Yeah, Mercy's kind of looking looking at him a bit like suspicious.
And then he bundles everything up for you. And on top of it, he places a sash that is the same type of fabric that his gear is made from.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And he says you'd be best to wear that in the deep desert.
Okay. Yeah, I take the bundle that he's collected. I mean, it's one of those things where I can say, you know, this is a robbery, right? But but I don't think I could. I don't feel like I can rob him now.
It's taken all the fun out of it.
Yeah. Okay. So I think Mercy leaves the shop very confused.
As you're stepping out, he says, "I will see you again."
Yeah, sure. Yeah, see you in a few weeks, maybe.
So, roll 2d6 for me, or no, 1d6. Roll 1d6 for me.
Okay.
Or actually, we'll give you the better of the two.
Oh, 2d6 then. Okay. A 6.
Okay,
Wow,
so you
nice.
get 6 additional units of gear.
Oh, okay.
And
and
the
a
sash.
massive bit of confusion. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
Cool. Not sure
So-
what's happened.
I'm just
Should I
just
be
laying
worried
seeds. That's all I'm
about
doing.
this?
No,
I'm
no,
laying
that's cool.
seeds.
No, I like it. I like it. Yeah.
All right, so
Is Mercy really proud of himself, or is just genuinely just confused?
Well, he just
Confused.
thinks he's walked in and robbed the guy, and the guy's just helped him.
very pleasantly, like, all right, here you go.
Yeah. I mean,
Take this too.
he maybe he thinks, wow, I must be pretty intimidating. I must be pretty scary.
You do notice as you are leaving that another nomad is actually entering the shop and brushes past you.
Oh, okay.
Right.
I just nod as nod to
They nod pleasantly to you.
yeah. So perhaps we'll call it here for now. If
Yeah.
that's all right.
Yeah.
On the verge of the expedition.
because we said that was going to take. We said that was going to take the rest of the evening, wasn't it? So all that's left now is to go back and sleep,
So,
ready to meet with Mr. Blackwood.
Yeah.
Well, we'll start potentially in the morning in case there's anything else you want to do before, because you don't meet him until like early evening to go out. But yeah, we'll go from there. You've got some good gear to pull from.
Yep.
You got a truck. You've got a weird nomad situation with Mercy. Just my notes literally just say nomad situation. And we will go from there, maybe potentially with someone else joining. So
Yeah.